Senior Lecturer for Cultural Studies and Director of the Center for Reparation Research at the UWI, Dr. Sonia Stanley Nye, is joining us now to discuss the decision announced yesterday by the U.S. President Joe Biden to grant a pardon to our national hero, the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm
so
very well.
Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year.
Happy New Year.
All the other things that we
Yes.
did not see each other for.
Including hiking.
What? She flagged in with word, she flagged in, but I'm dodging it. Because that's not why you're here. Not today. What was your reaction when you heard?
I was elated. I felt very pleased. And I said to myself, this is an important day for Jamaica and the United States, and most importantly, for people in the African diaspora who have been inspired by the work and legacy of Marcus Garvey.
Mm-hmm. And for the people who don't know, let's reverse back, as we would say in Jamaica. Mail fraud. Tell us the circumstances surrounding the issue with Marcus Garvey in the first place. Why he was...
So really, it was a trumped-up charge, of course, at that time. A black man out of Jamaica forging ahead with a global movement in the age where there was no internet. Here we, not only that, a movement for blacks, the persons in the world who were considered absolutely, let's use the word minorities. And of course, we know racism, discrimination, all forms of prejudice, and particularly in the United States at that time, when all of these codes were just about to be removed in terms of all of the discrimination. So you have a context in which this trumped-up charge on mail fraud gets slapped on Marcus Garvey. And this was intended, of course, to cripple the movement. Mm-hmm. Of course, it did no such thing. Marcus Garvey became even more popular and inspired, as you know, the movements, Black Power movement, people like Malcolm X, and of course, even all the way to Louis Farrakhan, and not to mention the reggae artists in our own Jamaica who have, in terms of the words of Marcus Garvey, used reggae as a message, music, to inspire the world. And of course, Marcus Garvey was the one that said, look to Africa for the coming of the Black King. Mm-hmm. So Rastafari as a movement owes a lot to the kind of, predictions, certainly the affirmations of Marcus Garvey.
In your thoughts, did you think, why not exoneration?
I would have loved, many of us would have loved to have seen exoneration, the technicalities around a U.S. president, an outgoing president, pardoning or exonerating in such a case. We don't know, and I'm not here to tell you that I know all of the technicalities of this, but of course what we do want ultimately is for the charges to be removed, for the slate to be cleared, and this is a first step. Pardon is a first step. We want much more, and I know that the government of Jamaica, whichever administration, people who are advocating, will not stop until we get that exoneration.
And do you think it is likely, speaking of administrations, with this next administration, do you expect to see anything more come of that particular wish on our part?
I think so. I don't think this is something that we're going to drop. Marcus Garvey is a national hero of Jamaica. Some people, some of us, Simone, we're born, and some of us are going to die in obscurity, not Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And this is important to understand, that the legacy of Marcus Garvey is so significant. But of course, we have a lot of work to do at home. Many schools, many students, many Jamaicans still don't know too much about Marcus Garvey. And that's a failing on our part, that our education system, you have to wait till you get to tertiary level or certainly the upper levels of secondary school to choose to learn about Marcus Garvey. This is something we have to fix.
Yep. In the United States and maybe even internationally, do you think this will have an impact regarding racial equality and stuff like that?
And I think Doc misunderstood my question. My question was in the incoming administration in the States. Do you expect to see exonerate? Not our administration's pushing. We will push.
The incoming administration. I can't say. I cannot say. We do not know. Trends would suggest maybe not.
Yeah.
But we don't know. I actually think that we're going to see some surprising things that may be positive because it's the last term, unless, of course, the laws are changed to suit incoming presidents. But yes, the fact is that I think your question, though, Neville, was about whether it will
make a difference.
It will make a difference generally. And I think this moment, it will allow some people who have never heard of Marcus Garvey to hear about Marcus Garvey, to try to figure out exactly who this was. But also, I don't think this is going to change the minds of anybody in particular, whether at home or abroad. So Marcus Garvey will remain someone of import to those who are Pan-Africanists, those who are in the African diaspora. And of course, we know there are all kinds of important things happening. So the film about Marcus Garvey was made. Can't remember now the name of the director, but we all had an opening, a premiere in Jamaica recently. And of course, the work of the UNIA continues. You know, I can name Stephen Golding as a vanguard in relation to that legacy. And the UNIA, the Institute of Jamaica, the Center for Reparation Research, where I am now based, we continue to do the work of repair inspired by Marcus Garvey.
Yeah. What do you say to the young Jamaicans who say, all right, so them pardon him? That not help me. It don't make a difference to me. What do you say to
Go study the words of Marcus Garvey. Go study Marcus Garvey's philosophy. Go pick up a book and read about Marcus Garvey. You might be surprised at how it is Marcus Garvey can influence you, not only in terms of the thoughts in relation to self-determination, black pride, but also how to become self-sustainable and to look to your own people, build your community, you know, and I think we are moving in a time when that collective spirit is so necessary. That's where we are at today. You know, we tend to look outside of Jamaica for the opportunities, but look at a Marcus Garvey from St. Anne, out of this little country, which I talk about as cartographically absent. If you don't know where Jamaica is on the map, you can't find it.
Biggest little dot.
Biggest little dot. And yet we have punched enough above our weight category for a man like Marcus Garvey in the age when there was no internet to have a global movement to inspire black people all over the world.
Amazing.
Completely amazing.
How do we then move forward with that agenda, Doc? I mean, Nev speaks about it with relation to our young people, which would be an elective. Maybe if, you know, there was an account on TikTok. I don't know. I'm just being facetious because maybe even then the content wouldn't be sexy enough for the young people. But how do we make it so that, I mean, without it being mandatory, it's so important that they must learn it.
We have to take Marcus Garvey to the people who need him most. And I would want to suggest that these are the young people. It must be that we're inspiring another generation. So the Center for Reparation Research, for example, is now doing that kind of work, mainstreaming the idea of repair, taking reparation from street to stage. And one of the first things we did was to launch an international reparation debating competition for students at the secondary level across the Caribbean and within the UK. And we have schools already entering. The deadline is Wednesday, so I encourage all of the schools who have not participated, go to the Center for Reparation Research's website, and let's see how it is we're going to be able to inspire ourselves and the young people in particular to get into Marcus Garvey. That action of repair, the work of repair is what we have to do right now, righting the wrongs of history. And I'm thankful that the United States could see it, and President Biden see it fit, because we were expecting this in previous administrations, that see it fit that at this time in 2025, we have this kind of, you know, inspiration to move forward in terms of our own ideas of black determination. The legacy of Marcus Garvey lives on. And as we would say, aluta continue. The struggle definitely continues to be able to right the wrongs of history.
Final question for me. You mentioned the center that you run, Reparation.
Yes.
How does, or did, Marcus Garvey's work influence your area?
Absolutely. So some of the most important voices within the reparation movement all over the Caribbean will tell you that they've been inspired by the work of Marcus Garvey. And I speak in particular of people like Vereen Shepherd, Hilary Beckles. There are so many, including, some of our thinkers who have died, whether they've been in the field of economics, politics. Mia Motley, for example, Honorable Mia Motley, her own comments from CARICOM, we heard them in our own news this morning. People have been inspired by Marcus Garvey, and we continue to be inspired by Marcus Garvey. He did what many of us today, with internet and more technology, are not doing, Neville. And this is the point. When you think about a Marcus Garvey, we are dwarfed, literally, in the ways in which we have not been, forthcoming in how we change the outcomes for people in the African diaspora. It is a job of repair, and it's a constant job. But, for some reason, the people who come out of St. Anne, they must have been breathing a different kind of air, drinking a different kind of water. Yeah. Bob Marley and Marcus Garvey are two persons out of Jamaica. They will not die in obscurity.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant
You're
response.
right. What they're doing with internet is,
they will not die in obscurity.
They have no technological tools. We have to go, but generally in the area of repair, reparations, or fight for that, how are things going there?
Things are amazing. We are, in fact, inspired by, apologies and the commitment of resources, the Church of England. We have University of the West Indies in conversation with universities such as University of Glasgow. We now have, I recently, just last week, had a meeting with Quakers of Britain. There are a number of entities coming forward. The Heirs of Slavery, First Repair. There are a number of entities. So individuals, families, institutions are coming forward. And we are here, the CARICOM reparations movement. We are here to be able to negotiate appropriately on the basis of repair for peoples of African descent, particularly in the Caribbean and across the Americas.
Such important work.
Yep.
You must feel really fulfilled and honored to do this.
Yep.
Completely honored. Mm-hmm. Completely honored.
Great to see you. God bless you and yours for the year.
Yes.
See
Same to you. Same to you. Yes.
Senior Lecturer for Cultural Studies and Director of the Center for Reparation Research at UWI, Dr. Sonia Stanley Naya.
After the break, we're talking about the TikTok ban in the US.
That is
no longer
ban. The TikTok ban when I really banned. I will be speaking with that gentleman right here. Soon come.